Also because he's in your FPL team.
100%, man. Wishful thinking. This is just wishful thinking.
Hello and welcome to yet another episode of FPL Escapades. Today we are joined by Anand and one of our close friends, Amit. So he was here in one of our previous episodes, if you remember, when we started off the season fresh with Game Week 1 preview. And he's back again, so we're delighted to have him here. And today we talk about Game Week 10 after what has been a pretty solid game week for me personally after I scored 80 points and Bruno captain firing for me. And I also bought in Teles for a hit, and he gave me a clean sheet, so I'm really happy with that. And huge green arrows, nearly 70k made up, so that's a great start for me. Anand, how was your game week?
Pathetic, just really bad. And that is why I did not even check my points. So I was hoping that Zaha and Saiz would play. Like Saiz was a long shot, but I was hoping at least Zaha would start on the final day of game week 9. But suddenly, the reports came out that both Saiz and Zaha have tested positive for COVID, and because of that, my just game week went really horrible. Yeah, but yeah, the captain. I can't even say the captain saved me because Bruno was my captain. But even with that, yeah, really, really, really bad. Like I said.
Yeah, I mean, we were all expecting this season to be very unpredictable when it comes to COVID and players being ruled out very late, just before games. So really, really harsh on you. But I think Zaha is someone who's been a pain to all his owners. When he's not consistent, and Crystal Palace are not the side you want to trust. Maybe when you go attacking wise. So that is something you might want to look at. And I think he suffered a price drop yesterday as well. So FPL managers are clearly not holding on to him. Amit, how was your game week?
Up till Saturday, like Trump said, we should have stopped the count there only because I had 46 points and and the average point value then was 26 points and they should have stopped the count then only because Sunday was a horror show. Believe it or not, I still haven't got onto the DCL train and he keeps hurting me. He keeps hurting me. This week I swapped out Robertson for Chilwell. So till Saturday night, I was very happy with my decision. And then came Sunday and he gave an assist with a clean sheet. And that was it. After taking another, only thing that went right for me was listening to Anand Sindhu and getting in Bruno Fernandes in place of Salah. Uh, in fact, taking a hit for that is for the same reason. And but that was not alone enough to salvage my game week this week because the average tally was 55 points and I could only manage 53. So in all it was a pretty shitty game week for me.
I mean, fair play on the Bruno call. I think all of us got Bruno in, and he's someone who we can probably hold on for the rest of the season because
No,
he's been.
I was circumspective. Anand literally convinced me. He used to call me 1 in the morning and he used to keep shouting, get in Bruno. And I finally gave in to his.
Yeah, I think that's a solid call by Anand, and he's been a huge fan of Bruno ever since he came into the Premier League last January. And I was just looking at some of the stats yesterday, and he's the highest point scorer ever since he came to the Premier League. And the second, who is I think Mohamed Salah, and he's 30 points behind. So it's not just penalties and talking about pure luck. He's someone who is pure FPL gold. So moving on, let us start off with the essentials of Game Week 10. So when we look at the essentials, I think the first thing that we need to talk about are Manchester City assets because their fixtures turn for good, and starting off with perhaps their favorite fixture, which is Burnley at home, and we've been seeing screenshots circulating all over Twitter about the 5-0 thrashings they have delivered to Burnley in the last few seasons. So what do you think, Anand? Is KDB the go-to guy when it comes to Manchester City?
Yeah, 100%. I guess not just for this match, but throughout the season for me, just like Bruno, he is kind of the set and forget player. I already had KDB in game week 2 wild card. I got in KDB straight away without thinking twice. And that was always the plan because if you remember, KDB, Bruno both missed game week 1, and my plan throughout the season, at the start of the season, was to have these two because they were ultimately going to be my go-to players and be the set and forget players that I had planned. Uh, Regarding the defensive ways, it's still, again, it's too tricky. We were talking the other day because in the Champions League we all saw that Mendy returned at his left back position. So maybe for a week, Cancelos and Walker are not open for rotation. But yeah, you really don't want to have a player coming into your team just for a week, apart from if you want to take a punt on someone or something like that. So yeah, I think defensive wise can't really go over there as of now. But still, if you have steady players in your team, then yeah, do hold on to them. But let's see how it goes. That is why I feel Dean could be a really good pick if we have to choose for a defender. But what do you think, guys, about strikers? Plenty of strikers, really cheap strikers who are also giving points. But out of the ones that we mentioned here on the table, do you think that these are the go-to strikers, or there are other names as well in your mind?
In the essential bracket, no, you don't have to look anyone further than Jamie Vardy for this weekend. They're playing Fulham, and you just close your eyes and triple captain, double captain, whatever you want to do with Vardy, because anyhow he's going to give you a brace. And this is probably going to be a very high scoring game, with considering Liverpool will be playing Brighton, and you have City at home against Burnley. So these are really juicy fixtures, and the other fixtures are also complementary. So you can actually maneuver, if possible, if you have free transfer left and everything, you can maneuver your team around these fixtures basically.
Yeah, I think that was an amazing point wherein we can probably focus and target Fulham, and we had a tweet rolled out from the FPL Escapades handle that did pretty well. And basically, we spoke about captaining Wadi, Salah, and Aguero, or maybe KDB. So Fulham have a terrible upcoming run of fixtures when it comes to the next 3 games, and they face Leicester. So Leicester, I think Jamie Vardy is the outright FPL asset when it comes to Leicester, because the likes of James Maddison and Yuri Tillemans haven't delivered this season so far. Although they might be outliers when it comes to differentials, but I don't think you can probably trust them for a long run, and that's where Jamie Vardy comes in, and he's one of the most transferred in players this game week. And Fulham have been a side who have conceded easy chances, and although they have struggled aerially, and Leicester are not so good aerially, but I believe he'll get those chances that DCL got last week. So, and Fulham have been guilty of conceding a lot of penalties, and I think Jamie Vardy, his knack of scoring penalties, it might return. And talking about DCL, do you have any plans to get DCL in your team any sooner?
Not really, because I am really going with this philosophy of keeping a high price striker followed by two subsidiary. So my plan is to get in someone a heavyweight such as Kane or an Aguero, depending on the game weeks. I right now have Kane, and I'll maneuver it to Aguero and Vardy depending on the fixtures. And the rest of the two slots, it's pretty much fixed between Watkins, Wilson, and Bamford. I have just locked in, because I'm not gonna take out Bamford because he keeps giving me points. He might flop for 2 weeks in a row, but the kind of football Leeds are playing right now, especially if you have watched this Arsenal game, they hit the post thrice or 4 times, if I'm not wrong. So I'm not, because Leeds are a team. They might get butchered in the counter, but they are gonna create chances for you.
Yeah, I think
So
when we started off the season, the only concern with Bamford was whether he'll get the minutes with Rodrigo signing, but
yeah,
that certainly hasn't changed. And despite his missed chances, I think Leeds are creating so many chances in a game, and you have to keep him to get lucky, because people keep talking about luck and skill. So that's the skill part where you got him in, and the luck will favor you in the long run. So, what do you think about Salah? And I've seen plenty of FPL managers getting him back into the team after he made a 60-minute appearance in the Champions League.
See, it again depends on the composition of your team. Like somebody wants to have three heavy midfielders, somebody wants to have two heavy midfielders, maybe one heavy striker. So it totally depends on that. Personally, I will not be going over there as of now, despite despite them playing Brighton, but then that is only because I am planning to have KDB and Bruno in my team, and sadly I cannot have them all. And but the player is really good, and the fixture is also really good for him. So Salah, no surprises that he's people are getting him back into their teams, because as long as that he's kind of a consistent player, he's never going to hurt you in the long run. He's always going to return those crucial points. So again, sometimes like I said, you can't have them all. And in every game week, there are, say, at least 20 to 25 or 30 players returning FPL points, if you even include the clean sheets and all. So out of those 30, you need to basically have 11. So like I said, I'm just giving my personal opinion on this, that I will not be getting him back, because my plan is to retain some other players like KDB or Bruno. But I don't think that people can go wrong with Salah. Yeah, definitely.
So I'd just like to reiterate what Amit said earlier, talking about when we are talking about essentials, because this could be a huge game week wherein we have massive point hauls for our key essentials going forward, and that is where we might see huge rank swings as well. So moving on, let us talk about our differentials for game week 10. Yeah, so when I open up the differentials table, the first name that pops up to my eye is Tony Marshall. Take it away, Amit. All yours.
Tony Marshall hasn't been scoring this season, but Marshall is a player which is very close to our hearts. And what we saw in the last game against Istanbul was Rashford actually held his position out in the wings, and that created a lot of space for Cavani to make those movements. And Marshall was making those runs. And Southampton are a team which will which will press you, and they will leave gaps, which we saw against the Spurs game. They got murdered for it, but this is a brand of football they play. And I know Raheem Sterling hasn't clicked this season, but see, the thing with Sterling is he often scores in bunches, and he does that when people are least expecting him to do that. And against a Burnley team which uh, for some reason doesn't perform for we know the reason. They don't have the resources basically, but yeah, they struggle at Etihad almost every time they play them. So uh, I can expect Sterling to run them ragged. And you it doesn't look nice, but they're going to get butchered again by City, because City has been getting a lot of flack this season for the kind of performances. And I think, unfortunately, Burnley will be the team to pay for their mistakes.
Yeah, I think really, really great points, Amit, put up. Uh, Honestly, the picks that here, there's some, maybe in a week or two, they might be the new essentials, if the template takes time. Well, this category is really, really important. We all know that there is this template that is already being formed. So if you can land up one or two players from this, and if in case they explode, then it's just gonna be a huge rank boost for all of you, and not necessarily these players, but whosoever have less ownership. That is the thing with differentials. Um, Regarding City, I think I agree with you regarding Cancelo. We've discussed that bit a little bit more regarding Mendy. And Mendy is also naturally a left-footed player, so Guardiola would like to play him over there. But Cancelo has been really amazing this season. It will be really difficult for Guardiola to dub him. But see, the season is really tough, and managers, it's like a really good problem for the manager, not for FPL players or managers, but for a real life manager, it's a really good thing to have. Have options, and he will just rotate freely, or might rotate freely. Having said that, and that is where I am kind of inclining towards United defenders, and Maguire to me could be a really great differential, because he's kind of nailed on, and with Ellis coming in, and also Ellis on corners. But apart from that, Kai Havertz is coming back after being tested for COVID, and he is somebody who's only 8.3. So everybody's gone crazy about Ziyech, and but also remember that Ziyech will be providing and feeding those balls in the path of Havertz. So Howard is somebody who's like had a really good header when you compare it to say the likes of Werner. So he has a really good header, and he was starting all matches before he tested positive for COVID. So I think Howard can be a good shout if you want to if you want to bring in a Chelsea player. Uh, and Chelsea, since the time Mendy has come into the team, they've looked more solid at the back, and that's how usually a team builds. They build from the back, and if you're solid at the back, you can definitely do better going forward in a way. Akshay, what do you think about the striker, especially owning DCL? But here we mentioned about Richarlison. Do you think that Richarlison can be a real handful going forward? Also, Gabriel, FPL Lens, as known as on Twitter community, is a huge Richarlison fan, and he's gone double up. What do you feel? The differentials in this differential mentioned here, or somebody else that you want to talk about?
I think it was pretty clear that Everton were missing Richarlison because in the last game, when he returned, we saw all of the players benefited from that. And DCL, for my luck, he got in a brace. So the only thing with Richarlison is I think he tends to switch off in games at times. So that is where that is something that puts me off as a FPL manager. And although he's still on penalties by the looks of it, I personally favor DCL because we've already spoken about this earlier as well. Like Calvert Lewin is perhaps the focal point of that Everton attack, and although Richarlison and James Rodriguez play alongside him, but everything usually goes through Dominic Calvert Lewin. So he's a season keeper for me, and no rotation risk as such. And with Richarlison, you also have that hot-headed thing wherein he might lose his head any day, and those red cards you can see them coming anytime. So
It's
I'll
a
just
Brazilian thing.
it's just a Brazilian thing, absolutely. So I'll just touch upon Sterling again, and he's one of the players who I fear not owning this week because Burnley is perhaps the right side for him. They'll set up as a low block, and that is where the likes of Raheem Sterling and all those guys will feed through Kevin De Bruyne's passes, and I think he could benefit from that. And Yuri Tillemans is someone who's catching the eye, and the FPL community's injury expert Ben Dinnery, he's already bagged Yuri Tillemans in, so he could be a differential because Leicester have a great run of fixtures. And you spoke about Cancelo already, so the only thing that has changed with respect to his situation is I think he was a nailed-on spot for that left back before Benjamin Mendy came back because Zinchenko wasn't troubling him too much for that spot. But with Mendy coming back, now he's a rotation risk. He's not a nailed down pick anymore. So that is where I was very lucky because I was going to get Cancelo in last week, but I decided to listen to my heart and get Alex Telles. So that is it for our differentials. And moving on, we'll start off with the cheapies for game week 10. Okay, so when we talk about the cheapies, I see an interesting name, Rafael Diaz. Anand, would you like to say something about that?
Yeah, I remember the name. Remember this name, okay, guys. So no, just kidding. I think FPL Jim would definitely know who this player is. This is Rafinha. So Rafinha had a blinder against Arsenal, and that is something. Arsenal is still a good team, guys, and Rafinha played really well. He was curling balls. He was taking a lot of shots, making those runs. Can be a great GP if you're short on funds and if you want to take a punt or something in any of the game weeks. Rafinha could be a really really handful. But for me personally, I just the moment Rodrigo came into the picture or came as a sub against Arsenal, Rodrigo looked so lethal. I mean, Leeds definitely missed him and both Calvin Phillips. But as in terms of FPL asset, I think Rodrigo was phenomenal in that match. Also, for those who are all owning Bamford, do not be scared because as of now, it feels like Rodrigo and Bamford will play up top together, where probably Rodrigo will play a little behind because he has a really good goal creation action for 90 minutes, as seen when he was in La Liga as well. So both will probably start up top together. So do not worry about Bamford in this case. But Rodrigo looks like a really good player, and against Arsenal, the moment he came, it was just a breath of fresh air. Regarding defender, I think Sofal is somebody that we've been talking since a long time. The video that we recorded with FPL Buna, uh, we spoke about Kufal as one of the best transfer signings this season. But yeah, when we talk about West Ham, he's been really good for them. He's taking shots all around. He's has this assist potential in him. Although his defending is a little bit questionable, but then West Ham as a defensive unit is playing really well as well, and they set up this low block and with uh, like really good like the Cresswells and Masuaku, everybody seems to be in good form. So Kufal can benefit because of West Ham's great defensive record as seen in the last season. Because West Ham on paper had just red fixtures from game week 1, and nobody gave them any sort of chance. And Kufal, even after those heavy run of fixtures, if he performed over there, what if now when his fixtures have turned? And I'm expecting him to be in points there.
Yeah, I think fair play. I think he's been a great addition to that West Ham side, both defensively and going forward, because they did not have that asset when Zabaleta turned old and he stopped bombing forward. So that's a great addition to David Moyes' side. And I think another defender that could be a great cheapie for this particular game week could be Justin. And despite Pereira coming back for Leicester under 23s, we heard from Brendan Rodgers that he's expecting Pereira to take another 2-3 weeks to come back to the first team fold. And I also feel that when Ricardo Pereira comes in, we spoke about this Anand earlier as well. So what I feel is Ricardo Pereira will slot in the right wing back, and Castagna will move down to the left, and Justin, he'll not be benched. He'll be moved to the left centre back spot. So that is not something
Yeah.
that's new for him. And Leicester have Soyuncu missing for a long time. So Christian Fuchs is someone who cannot be depended on a weekly basis. So I think Justin will nail that spot. And although he might not get you those attacking returns anymore, but as an owner, you can stick on to him for the long run.
Amit, would you like to add over here, like your picks for cheapies?
For this game week, maybe with a heavy heart, I have to go with Che Adams because, as I know, I'm a United supporter and I love the club and everything, but we haven't been actually very strong defensively, and we've been conceding chances. And Che Adams is a player with a bundle of pace, and we might just get caught out again. Harry Maguire might just get caught out again against Che Adams. And apart from that, also Che Adams has very good fixtures coming up. Next week they face Brighton, and after that I think they have Sheffield. So, so Che Adams for the cheapies is not a bad choice. You have already touched Rodrigo. I guess he hit the post when he came on, and the only reason I won't go with Rodrigo is because I already had Bamford. But either way, both great choices. Mitrovic, I'm not very sure about because he came on, he did not take the penalty, and he's not starting right now. So Mitrovic won't be a pick for me. Now
He
coming
might
on,
be back on penalties though. He might be
yeah,
back on penalties.
I mean, the
he have to be because
story
the
with
kind of chances they are missing, they would need him on penalties.
seriously, the story with Fulham and penalties. I mean, first of all, we had Adamola Lookman doing a Panenka, which was an absolute disaster. And then, if you remember last week, Ivan Cavallero, he decided to do a no look. I mean, Fulham certainly need to do something about this because if they've missed 3 penalties already this season, and for a side that is heavily relegation threatened, I think they need to sort that out and
I
start
think they are in a rut basically.
yeah.
They are mentally more than their playing ability. Mentally, they have lost it. So right now, mentally, they themselves might feel like a punching bag because they are getting slapped every week.
You know what, guys? I personally feel when a team, whenever a team loses a match, suddenly they become more angry in the next match. There's a lot of passion that comes out from it. So, Akshay, do you think that City and Arsenal will bounce back this game week?
I think City have to bounce back. I mean, if not against Burnley, then it will be a huge worry for all FPL managers because City assets have been reliable for our FPL teams if we look at the past few seasons. And since Pep Guardiola has come in, City have been a heavy scoring side, but we have not seen that so far this season. And who better than Burnley to bring that out of them? So this could perhaps be the week, but I'm not really sure if it's going down the 5-0 lane again. So it could be a comfortable win, maybe a 2-0 or a 3-0, but I don't see them spanking Burnley because Burnley have looked decent in the last couple of game weeks after Ben Mee came back. So not a 5-0 for me, but could be a comfortable 2-0 win. Yeah, so with that, we wrap up the cheapies, and going forward, I'll just talk to you guys about your game week 10 plans and what are your transfers. So, Anand, I believe you have already made your transfer last night, is it?
So yeah, Zaha for KDB was a straight switch. The moment I heard he's not traveling for the Champions League match, I I hit the button then and there. That was my first pick. Second was I was pretty comfortable with my defenders going this game week because I had Lewis who's playing Crystal Palace
Palace.
and Palace without Zaha. I'm actually backing Lewis for this game week, and I have Justin who plays Fulham, and then I have Saiz who have kept in kept in my team because they're playing Arsenal, maybe because of that. But no, jokes apart, that is a big worry. But then I have Ailing who can who can come in if Saiz doesn't start once again. I just thought taking a hit for a defender just did not make sense, even if it was dropping in value, because just because somebody is dropping in value, I can't just make transfers because just on the basis of that. I have to see the long term picture, and for example, if I remove Saiz and get in um, um, somebody as a defender, say Cancelo or some whatever, whosoever you name, and even if they return 6 point, if I'm taking a hit, it's gonna go even Stevens because 6 minus 4 would just end up giving me 2 points. But yeah, the upside is great. If they can score a goal, that would be great. But yeah, I was not willing to take that risk. Rather, if I really want to take a risk, I'm still contemplating. I have Watkins, Bamford, and Jimenez as my strikers. So I'm contemplating about Jimenez. What should I do over there? Should I change him? I have two contenders for that. One is Tony Martial, and second is none other than Kun Aguero. Okay, so let's see what happens over there. So I'll be closely watching the press cons of Pep Guardiola, and let's see what happens with Aguero over there because he did come in against in the Champions League midweek for Jesus. He did come into the team, and Jesus with Aguero in team also plays really well. So I'm looking forward to that, and just this is something where let's see what happens. This season I've been unlucky. I did bring in Aguero once. That did not go as per plan because he was injured uh, just after 45 minutes. So let's see. But I'm ready to
And
take
who
that
did you
risk.
win Aguero in for?
It was Patrick Bamford. Let me
I
remind
got it.
you, that was the week that Patrick Bamford scored a
Oh,
hat trick.
is
Yeah. So basically, it's not Patrick Bamford, it's Hat-trick Bamford. So Hat-trick Bamford,
not for you,
Hat-trick
Anand.
Bamford.
For you, it's Patrick only.
Yeah, for sure, 100%. I agree with you on that. So Hat-trick Bamford came in that week and just destroyed. Sorry, he went out of my team, destroyed me, but I had to bring him back for Aguero itself. But him is someone I don't know, like he's killing me. Ever since I got in Jimenez, he stopped scoring goals, and let's see how it goes, guys. What about you guys? Akshay, 997 ranking last year. You're the best guy on this. Do not listen to me at all. But Akshay, listen to this guy. 997 last year. He does have some great transfer plans. Akshay, what do you think? Who are you getting in this year? This week?
Oh, I've already made my free transfer, the one free transfer that we have every game week. So I decided to part my ways with one of the players who, as per Pep Guardiola, is the best player that he has ever coached, Phil Foden. And I've brought in Diogo Jota, and he's looking really sharp for that Liverpool side. And so Salah's struggles and Mane's struggles in front of goal are actually benefiting Diogo Jota because he's not one of those guys who looking for the cheeky back heels or the cutbacks. He's direct on goal. So that was my thinking behind Diogo Jota, and Foden playing the 90 minutes in Olympiacos, and Jota being benched along with having a price rise due this morning. I had to make that move. So I brought in Diogo Jota for Phil Foden. What are your plans, Amit?
I have again gone with the because I had Foden and he was basically doing nothing, so I switched him out for Grealish. and I also had Harrison of Leeds.
Leeds, yeah.
But Harrison, he has been pretty much docile since the first week. He
Yeah.
has given me 6.1, 6 pointer. Apart from that, he has been pretty much on the bench and docile. So what I did was I moved in early and I got in Jota right after his goal. So I was lucky enough to get him at 6.5, and right now it's 6.7.
Amazing.
There's a nice little tactic which I was able to pull off. Apart from that, this year I am, because pretty much how my season every season ends it with an average score. So this year I'm trying to not to finish average. So what I'm trying to do, either I'm gonna ride the ride, or just crash and burn, because I am gonna target the fixtures this year. So I have taken a hit and gotten Vardy in place of Harry Kane against my better judgment, and thinking of captaining Vardy for this fixture. So
I mean,
those were,
absolutely. Play hard or go home. No other ways
yeah.
about it. Yeah, so with that, we wrap up the Game Week 10 preview. It's been a great chat, guys. I would like to thank our listeners for tuning in. I hope we've been able to provide good value to you. So, we'd also like to announce that we have started this new series wherein we review the previous game week. We've decided to do this on a weekly basis, and we hope to get your response on that. So, as always, like, subscribe, follow. The links to follow all of us are in the description below. May the arrows be green, guys.